Welcome to another episode of That's Some Crazy Shit with Kelly and James. I am Kelly, and my co-host is James. What's up, dude?
What's up, my friend?
I am excited. Today on the podcast, we have a really cool episode, James. It is the Psychic Avengers. And that's funny.
When you told me about them, and you know how they're a team, and I'll let you tell them about all the details with the doctor stuff, but it's like they're a team. They're like the Psychic Avengers. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, so you want to know who the Psychic Avengers are?
Yes, tell us about them.
They don't call themselves that. That's what we've dubbed them. That's what James dubbed them, and it just stuck for me, so that's what I've been calling them. So it's actually free spirit coaching and psychological services. That's the name of the business. And the business is owned by a practicing psychologist, a doctor, Dr. Traci Moreno. And she has a practice. She's a therapist, right? That's what she does. She's a psychologist.
Now keep this in mind. You know, she has a doctorate in psychology.
Yeah, she has her PhD. She has her, she is a doctor.
Right. And we talked about how a lot of these professionals don't dabble in this stuff.
But in her practice, she has some real different modalities that she's added to enhance the therapy. So she also has Pasquale, who is a spirit coach, astrologer, and intuitive guide. She also has Niki Gonzales, who's a mindful movement coach, a Reiki master. She is a yoga instructor, and she's a sound healer. And these woo-woo practices, that's what I like to call them, she incorporates them into the therapy, into the practice. And I was blown away because I've never heard of astrology being a part of your therapy, right?
Exactly. When she reached out to us and kind of told us what was going on, I thought it was cool too, because we talked about like Dr. Meldrum. There's quote unquote legitimate people, doctors, don't want to hook up with Reiki masters and astrologists, and it doesn't work. But so I thought it was really cool that they put this together,
and they blend all of their gifts together and can really help people overcome trauma. And so it's some crazy shit, because number one, it's just the fact that she would think to blend these and how it all works out and have their patients love them and their practice in general. They're located in Cave Creek, Arizona. And they are the guest today on That's Some Crazy Shit. I am excited, James, to talk to the Psychic Avengers. I think it's cool. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's Psychic Avengers assemble.
It was a activate Wonder Twins or Psychic Avengers.
The Avengers are assemble.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going with the DC comic. That was the Wonder Twins.
Yeah, the Wonder Twins was activate.
Just side note. Sorry, like shiny thing, swirl. How come they never did anything with the Wonder Twins? They were kind of lame, weren't they?
Well, that's why.
Yeah, they were kind of lame. And they're Monkey, Gleep.
Gleek?
Oh, Gleek.
Yeah,
I was calling them Gleep. Like Gleep. Glop.
I thought maybe it was Gleep. I don't know. It was a long time ago.
I just, side note. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. We'll get right back to it. Welcome to the podcast, The Psychic Avengers.
So welcome, listeners, and we are here today on That's Some Crazy Shit with Kelly and James. I want to welcome today, I call them the Psychic Avengers, you guys. These guys have gotten together and put together a group of people with extraordinary senses. I'll let them introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about them, and then maybe we can go into what they do and how they use their skills or powers to help people. Okay, so do you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Sure. I'm Dr. Traci Moreno. I'm a licensed psychologist, and owner of Free Spirit Coaching and Psychological Services. And I work with these amazing people.
Whoa!
You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Pasquale. I'm a spiritual coach, so I use intuition, astrology, energy to help guide people to meaningful lives.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Niki. I'm a Reiki master, yoga teacher, and a sound healer. And so I like to use guided meditation and sound healing and the Reiki energy to help people.
Can't you hear the healing in her voice? So
I can. You're very calming.
That is so cool because James has dubbed you guys the Psychic Avengers. So that's what I've been calling you guys, and it just kind of stuck for us. That's the nerd, I think, in both of us, James, coming out right
sorry.
there. I mean, we're sorry, but I think what you guys do is really cool. So explain to the listeners like how you take your 3 individual gifts or abilities and then kind of merge them to help one individual, right? I think that's so cool that you can do that.
Yeah. So it started out, I started my own private practice, and I was just doing traditional psychotherapy, but I have been on my own spiritual journey. So I started incorporating that into the therapy that I was doing and trying to work with people on teaching them guided meditation and talking to them and, generally about spirituality and mindfulness and things like that, and crystals and aromatherapies and all kinds of different stuff. But then one, it was taking up too much time. It was taking the time away from our actual psychotherapy part. And then I realized it's really not my expertise. And I wanted to stay within my, zone of expertise. And so that's when I reached out and started putting some feelers out to find people in those specialty areas that I could work in conjunction with. And these two just came about.
We just popped up.
Yeah, he was the first one.
So how did you come about recruiting Pasquale?
So she actually, it's actually kind of a crazy story. So I have been doing this for a little while, and for some reason I received a job posting that Traci was hiring someone on the intuitive side. And I was like, oh. So I opened it and I was like, I'm interested. And I applied. And then here we are. And I'm totally here. And to be honest, I don't have a job search for it. So it just came to me in an email.
That's so crazy.
How things work out like that. It's more than coincidence.
And I live 5 minutes away.
Yeah, he lives like a mile from me. It's awesome.
And what about you, Niki? How did you become the 3rd member of the Avengers?
Oh, it's kind of interesting. I was in transition. I was moving from Washington State to Arizona, and I saw the job listing on Indeed, and I felt like the job description had been written exclusively for me. And I live a little ways away, and so Doctor and I met on FaceTime fast. And she was like, well, it's kind of a commute. I'm not sure. And I was like, no, I'm coming. I have to meet you. I have to be here. I have to see this place. And as soon as I got here, it was just like spirit led me 100% to this place.
But didn't you you Facebook stalked me for a little while?
No, that was no,
that was another person.
I saw an event. I did see an event. No, and I searched you on YouTube because I was like, okay, what is Free Spirit? This is such a rad name.
So when somebody comes in, does somebody come in, if they come in to say, okay, I want to come in for counseling, help me, do I get to decide if it's all of you? Is it always all of you? Is it one of you? How does that work?
So most people start off, they come to one of the therapists, which is myself and another therapist that we have, Kira Denton. And we begin to just assess what their goals are for therapy and what their needs are for therapy. And then we recommend the others, based on what we think will help them. A lot of times it's not necessarily like you come in and get everybody all at once, because people have to be ready and open for each step along the way. And so what I'll do is I'll kind of say, well, you know what? I think if they bring up something that is kind of in Pasquale or Niki's wheelhouse, I'll say, you know what? Why don't you go see, I want you to just try one session with Niki, and then you'll come back to me and we'll talk about it and we'll see how it goes. And then we'll kind of figure it out from there, whether it was helpful or not. And then, and then it just kind of like travels along from there.
Cool. So Niki, we did a whole episode on sound and frequencies and vibrations. And one of the things that I had researched was sound healing.
Yeah.
Right? And it's so funny that you do that, because I was telling James during that episode, I don't know much about it, only what I've read, right? So it's funny that you're a sound healer. So I'm really interested. So kind of explain to us how sound heals.
I love that. Sound heals through the body on a cellular level. So it attracts to the water that's inside of your body, and the vibrations carry out. So if you put water even inside of the crystal singing bowls, you can see the vibrations. And so you can only imagine what it's doing and expanding inside of the body. It's absolutely phenomenal. And the sounds, the way that it almost like ricochets off both ears and then it hones in, it's just the frequencies and the vibrations. We
had even found out that it can change your DNA, certain frequencies.
Right.
Yes, it does. It 100% does.
So do you use certain frequencies to treat people? Are you like using certain scales? Because James had talked about the 432. I had talked about the Soliferego.
Yeah, we still can't pronounce it.
I can't pronounce it.
Oh, yeah.
Frequencies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought that word too, actually. That's good. Thank you.
It helps that I'm Italian.
Yeah,
I thought it was Italian, but I told James I don't know what this word is, but we're just,
Sofaggio. That's good.
Sofaggio.
Sofaggio. I always have to use my hands.
Yeah, where were you, Pasquale, a couple of weeks ago?
Where were you? So do you use that scale? Do you use those frequencies?
I use the chakra frequencies in the body, the 7 main energy centers. So each bowl is representative of each chakra, and each chakra has its own frequency.
So you use sound bowls. You use the bowls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is
Gotcha.
the sound healing frequency. Yep.
And drums, which are...
yes.
We talked about drums.
We talked about that. We also talked about, have you heard of a gong bath?
Yes, I love gong baths. I have a baby gong, but I would love to have a big one someday. So I'm manifesting that.
That is cool. That's cool.
And we talked about manifestation.
We talked about manifesting as well. So that's cool. I think sound is cool. We found a lot of information about sound and how it heals and the things that it can do, and how they even say sound can move huge boulders, like back in the day. That's how they built those huge like Stonehenge and stuff. They said they moved those by sound. So I thought I think sound is cool.
Think about on the most basic level, how even just certain songs can completely change our energy and our mood, and that's something we all are familiar with. And it triggers our memory, our moods, it motivates us, it makes us cry. It's so intense. So then this is on times 20.
That's cool. So sound, I think what you do is cool. So Pasquale, we also talked about astrology, right, James?
We have.
And how we're really interested in astrology, because the zodiac, we what am I trying to say? We compared it to numerology, as in, like, if you're a Leo, for example, as I am, they say that Leo has certain traits, right? And
Absolutely.
so, are you a Leo too?
Yeah.
And so, but they say that the zodiac signs have certain traits, right? Traits and characteristics. So when you are helping somebody, you're taking their zodiac and then like the stars astrology and like doing a chart for them. How does that work?
So it's a great question. So what I typically do is once Traci sends me a client that is ready for my type of healing, right, to go into that spiritual guidance, what I do is I actually run their full astrology chart. So I look at not only their sun sign, which is what you described, like the Leo, right? But I also go into moon as well as rising. And rising is always, for me, the most powerful, because it's who you're becoming in this life. And so it's the characters that you will start to carry. And so it shows up in this chart. Top of it, it also shows up, it starts to show me like directions and like things that I need to know about that person. Are they intuitive? Are they empathic? Are there any traits that I can work with, like manifestation? It all shows up in this chart.
That's so interesting.
It's really crazy because sometimes we'll consult afterwards. By the way, we never consult before a client just because in what he does. I don't ever want anybody to say like, oh, well, you probably told him, so that doesn't.
Right.
Yeah. All I do is I give them first name and phone number and that's it. But then as we move along and we consult and like say there's a trauma in that person's history, he will have already pinpointed it from this astrology chart. I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but you can like see it and he'll show it. And there's like this, like a little blip on the radar of like, oh, this was like that huge challenge or trauma in their life that they were meant to have.
That's incredible. I'm shaking my head because it just
chills.
Yeah, it's just
so crazy.
So I have a question. So Traci, Dr. Traci,
You're fine.
you say it's psychotherapy, correct?
Yes.
Is that what you call it? Okay.
Yes.
Psychotherapy to me always sounds crazy, right? Because psycho.
We try not to use it.
Right?
Yeah,
and
anymore.
psycho has a bad connotation.
Yeah, it does have a
right?
bad connotation.
People say it all the time, oh, that person's psycho or they're psycho.
Right.
So
I'm old school, so I still use it.
right. So when does somebody say I need psychotherapy? Right? I mean, without scaring away everybody right?
So let's call it, we can refer to it as just like traditional therapy. I just feel like there's so many different therapies out there now that's my way of differentiating. But if we just refer to it as traditional therapy, it would be anybody going through any sort of mental health disorders, depression, anxiety, trauma, PTSD, panic attacks, OCD, eating disorders, things like that, where they need professional.
Are you raising your hand?
Eating disorders, sorry.
Your hand, James, because you need help? Is that what you're saying? James is checking off the list. All of these things.
Go ahead, doctor, my bad.
We're available tomorrow.
Sidebar, I can remember when I was a teenager, and do you remember way back when they would have those commercials, like when antidepressants and like Prozac first came out, and they would have the commercials and it says, is your teen moody? Does your teen, is your teen resistant or refusing? And my dad would sit there and go, yep. Oh my God.
Yeah, but looking back, it's like we all were.
Well, that's teenagers.
Yeah, that's a teenager.
But I think most people shy away from therapy, right? Because it has a certain connotation to it. Stigma to it. Even though we could probably all benefit from therapy and just talking to somebody else, right, is a big help. So when you guys, if let's say me, I came in, I saw you, and then you said, okay, Kelly, I want you to go see either, Niki or Pasquale, or would I see both of them? Or do I get to decide? And I gotta ask, is my insurance gonna cover this?
So, all good questions.
That's a good question, yeah.
If you want to see all of us, we have some people that'll see us all each weekly. We have some people who alternate weeks between and will rotate between the, 2 or 3 of us. So everything that I do is always a collaboration with the client. These are your sessions. I don't control these sessions. And so I give my recommendations, of course, but then the client also gives their input of what they want to do. And we work together in that way. Real quick though, to go back before I answer the insurance question about the stigma, is that's also why we say free spirit coaching and psychological services, because it's not just about mental illness. We do kind of like, the life coaching now. And so that could be any sort of transition in life. It could be even if you're kind of feeling lost, stuck, trying to make, a big change in your life. You're going through a divorce, you're going, even maybe a new baby.
Did you see an influx with COVID? Did you see an influx with COVID?
Yes. Our clients tripled because because most of what we do is outdoors, we never stopped seeing people in person, and we were the only ones, and people just flocked to us, especially nurses and teachers and things like that, who just really needed the support. And there was just no way I was gonna turn my back on, in that time. To me, that's like when they need us the most. So there was no way I was gonna like run from that.
And keep in mind, like, the facility, it's gorgeous. It's totally earth. We have so many different places and nooks that we can go to that are outdoors, that it's tranquil, it's peaceful.
So it's not clinical anymore.
To the healing and
therapies that we offer. It's not even like a clinic. You wouldn't even call it a clinic.
So far from a clinic.
We have like almost 2 acres of property in Cave Creek, Arizona, which is, I don't know if you're familiar, it's like just north of Scottsdale, and it's a beautiful desert area. And we have, like right now we're in our little tiny house, and there's a sun deck on it. And this is where Niki works. And then my kind of office is, we have a gazebo by the pool, and I sit out there with clients and we do the sessions there. And then we have mini donkeys on the property as well. So we have a stable area. And then on the other side, on Pasquale's side, we have a garden, a nice like desert garden, Zen garden, I call it, with a gazebo in there. And so we have all these like different, we also just put in a teepee.
That's nice.
And a medicine wheel.
Medicine wheel we have on the property.
Wow.
But in the teepee, we just recently had a full moon ceremony inside the teepee, which was amazing.
And that's so cool, because therapy is so not paired with what you guys are doing.
Right.
When somebody says, I'm going to go see my therapist, they go into an office,
right?
They sit, they have a conversation for an hour, and then you get up and leave.
Right.
So I'm interested in Reiki, right, Niki? That's what it's called, Reiki?
Yeah.
So I see it all the time. Mm-hmm. I have no clue. I think I know what it is, but tell me what it is.
Basically, the way I like to describe it is, I feel that I'm a conduit of energy that I just channel. Spirit energy, high vibrational energy works through me, and it works through my hands. Ever since I was a little kid, my hands have always been hot, and I've always known that there's something a little different, a little off with me. And I was told over and over, you're a healer. And so then I researched Reiki, and I thought, this is up my alley. I can relate to this. And so it's just healing. It can heal the physical body, or it can heal the emotional being, it can heal your spirit. So yeah, and Pasquale does Reiki too.
So we actually do complementary type of Reiki, whereas Niki really does go deep into like their, like, I always like to say their Akashic record, and she kind of goes deep inside of them and helps them release things. And what I will do is we partner in Reiki in that sense, where she'll kind of help them kind of see like their life, their journey, right? Like what's happening and connecting with it. And then she'll send them to me, and my Reiki is more, let's get your body to do what it normally does, which is self-heal, right? So let's get those vibrations moving. Let's get the energy moving. And so I'll take the traditional Reiki energy, but on top of it, I include crystals and some angels, and just kind of like superpower people so that they walk away really just feeling refreshed and like self-healing. They feel this vibration rising in them.
It's like removing that dark cloud for a second, just so you can like figure it out and get a chance to
let so you guys have taken traditional therapy, traditional shit, and then you mixed it with crazy shit to get free coaching, free spiritual coaching. Is that what it's called? Free spirit coaching? That's crazy to me, because I've never heard of that. And so part of that is the woo-woo, right? You have the woo-woo. And then the other part is the very kind of logical, textbook traditional therapy, as you say. So to blend them, I bet you're just blowing patients' minds.
And I thought that was crazy when we talked to you.
We're connecting mind, body, and spirit, right?
Yes.
We're connecting those 3 elements that make us people. And so we're healing each of those in our own ways.
Because if I just work on the mind, of course, you can only heal so much when your spirit or body are broken or injured. And so you have to heal them all together. And the progress that we see from clients, I mean, is just like, it's so rewarding for us and just so life-changing. And I mean, not to sound egotistical, but we hear every single day, like, of just, you know, I've seen like years of therapists and just nobody's helped me the way you have, and just how life-changing it's been.
So Traci, how do your colleagues feel about your approach to this, the traditional?
Actually, they're very intrigued. I hear a lot of people that say, oh my God, that's my dream, you know, and they say, you know, they just think it's so interesting and cool. And I get a lot of
open to it now.
A lot of them come to me. I actually see a lot of my clients, I see therapists.
Oh, wow.
And they have, I'm just getting the word out to some, you know, the local therapists around here, and they're starting to come to some of our events and refer their clients as well.
You know,
Nice.
if I can,
Yeah.
One thing that I have noticed through the years is that a lot of doctors of the mind, right? That whole mind, they are actually empathic people.
Yeah.
And I think that they tap into their empathicness to help heal their clients. And so we're actually supporting them in that way.
Right.
We're connecting them to that side.
Would you say that everybody has the ability to enhance their intuition and learn how to heal themselves?
100%.
Yes. Actually, we have a retreat in Sedona coming up May 13th and 14th. And that's actually our whole first day is about tapping in and strengthening your intuition and learning to differentiate your ego from intuition and things like that.
Wow.
Remember that we're spiritual beings living a human body, right? We're living a human existence, but it's clear that we're spiritual beings, right? We have that spirit inside of us. That spirit is what makes everyone intuitive. So there.
Now, do you ever get skeptics that come to you?
Yeah.
They'll be like, I just wanna see the woo-woo part.
Right.
Prove this wrong.
I'll say to clients, I'll say, you know what, I know that you're non-believer, but you know what, we love that. Why don't you just go, I just want you to try one session with Pasquale, even if it's for like shits and giggles, like, you know, like use it for entertainment value. And guaranteed after every one, they come back to me and they're like, wow, that's, he tapped it. Like there's always at least one thing that he really taps into, or that Niki taps into that really helps them push forward. Yeah.
So the only downfall that I see with what you guys do is that people have to be able to get to you, right? People have to come to you.
Well, they do with me, because being licensed, I can only treat people, Arizona residents,
right?
Unless I'm licensed in those other states. But Pasquale does Zoom,
Nice.
and then we're trying to figure out a way. I don't know how we're trying to figure out a way she can do some like sound healing distance wise. You can do distance Reiki, right?
Distance Reiki.
Somebody told me we've had a lot of psychic mediums, and they've all said space and time don't exist. So you could do what I do from anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. And so I would think that would imagine for you, Pasquale, and for you too. Yeah. But have you tried it yet, Niki? Have you tried sound through Zoom or anything?
I have. Yeah, I have. And it still seems to have the same effect. People report that, wow, that was like exponentially healing.
Because I know a lot of sound stuff, you can go on YouTube, download videos and listen to them. And me and James have done that, and I felt things, right? So I would imagine that you could do it through Zoom or Skype.
We're actually going to start doing, we're in the process now of kind of like expanding it and trying to make our services more available. And so one of the things is we're going to start doing maybe some live events, and then have them available as recordings after on the website. And then we're also going to be like putting together these kind of like self-help audio packages with all of us incorporating. So like it would be a package on, say, depression or anxiety, and where we're all contributing to that, where they would kind of like go through a guided kind of self-help, like you would go through a self-help book, but this will be all like audio versions and have the concepts from all three of us.
And keep in mind, I think you touched on a really big thing, which was a lot of people do say that like you can connect through Zoom, right? You can connect through computers. Think about what your computer and your phones are made out of. They're made out of quartz crystals.
Right. Yeah.
So we're only using the vibration and energy that's already part of what we're doing, right? We're just tapping into that and connecting in that way.
That's an interesting way to think about it.
That is it. I've never thought about it that way, but that's interesting. You had mentioned Sedona, so I always hear all of these woo-woo things about Sedona, right?
Stuff,
I call it woo-woo because somebody called it that the other day.
Yeah, one of the psychic mediums you're with called it woo-woo.
Mediums called it woo-woo.
It's in the dictionary. We use it.
Is it so? So tell me about Sedona. I don't know anything about it, but I've heard it's got like all this woo-woo energy, and that's like the place to go. And tell me about it.
On a most basic level, like not even if you get into the spiritual aspect, the beauty of it is just breathtaking. I mean, obviously we're pretty outspoken people that talk a lot, and you're just silent. I mean, jaw dropped. You're just like, it takes you to such a deep place of peace. And it's like, I don't know, to me, I was like, God does exist.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I ever doubted it, but it's like, wow, like this is
the
God.
location there adds to that? Do you think there's something about that location?
100%.
Yeah. You want to talk about the vortexes?
Well, so it's on, so like, you know that the earth has ley lines, right? Which are basically chakras that flow through the earth, right? And connect different parts of the world to each other.
Right.
Sedona is situated on a ley line. And so that's where a lot of the energy comes from. That's where a lot of the vortexes and those like really spiritual centers are at. And I know we all talked and joke about it because we all experience it in a little bit of different way. But you definitely feel the energy of it. Like you can start to just feel this vibration just kind of kicking in. And if you think of it in the terms of sound, right? Like with sound bowls and how that heals, it's the same. It's just the earth is doing that same vibration, just at a stronger level. It's just, man, it just hits you.
Yeah.
Really?
So
now,
they have different areas.
Stronger in different parts of the city, or you know what I mean? Is there a certain location that you can maybe feel it more as opposed to others?
Yeah. So they have different areas where they have these vortexes, and each vortex has a different type of energy. And so with me, when my husband and I first went, you expect to like feel like, you know, like you're in a windstorm, like you expect to like feel something, you know,
right.
And I didn't really get it. And then later on, we were somewhere talking to like a local, and he explained it, and he said, well, a perfect example is every time we pass, like say Airport Rock, and which is one of the vortexes, and he says, my wife just bursts out crying. It's kind of like that, like this unexplainable energy, not like a bad cry, but like this really intense, like overwhelming cry. And it hit me, and I was like, oh my gosh, because at Bell Rock, we had hiked up, and then all of a sudden I was like, I gotta run. And I hauled butt down to the end, and I just had this burst of energy, but I didn't understand that that's what it was.
Wow.
And also, like at Airport Rock, the difference would be it kind of enhances any spiritual practice that you're already doing. So for instance, here I meditate a lot, but when I meditated in Airport Rock, I actually had a like, I want to say full on, it was real, but like, I'll explain it as a hallucination, where it was, you know, my grandmother came in, gave me a message. I mean, tears flowing, and it was real.
Those are
Like,
visions, Traci.
like,
We've thought, they're not
Give
hallucinations.
me that
Those are
message.
visions.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be in the woo-woo and then call them hallucinations.
Yeah.
Those were visions.
You gotta accept that.
Right?
Yeah,
You
that was a
That's the
vision.
traditional
That's the
psychologist
doctor.
in me.
This is
You know, that's true.
Welcome.
That's the doctor in her, but then, you know, yeah, you gotta accept that. That was a
You
vision,
gotta
Traci.
embrace that woo-woo,
Yeah.
doctor.
Yeah.
You do.
You gotta embrace it because you're in it. You're like literally
Oh,
in
yeah.
it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that is cool.
It's just my descriptions.
It's very cool. So are you guys looking at adding any other type of modalities to what you do? So you've got the sound and the Reiki, you've got the astrology, and Pasquale, you said that you're a spiritual intuitive, is that right?
correct. Yes.
So what does that mean?
So basically, I tap into your energy or tap into energy to start to feel, and I start to understand like the person I'm with. On top of that, I start to hear things. So my angels start talking and sharing information.
Clair audio.
It's more clairsentient than audience. So it's a different form of hearing, but yes.
Interesting.
So sometimes we're talking and he'll be like, oh, they told me we need to do such and such, or oh, he told me, and I'm like, and it took me a while, but then I was like, oh, you're people. We're quote unquote people.
So are you looking at bringing on any other types of, I don't know, like modalities that you could bring in?
Maybe
and
acupuncture or something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Actually, I would love to have acupuncture one day.
Plant medicine, holistic plant medicine, things like that.
We do right now. We do also have an equine coach, equine assisted coach that works with our mini donkeys with clients, and then she also has a ranch with horses not too far from here.
Okay. I'm sorry. What exactly do these mini donkeys do? Do you get to ride them?
They're cute. Mini donkeys are cute.
Well, I know, but what do you do with
like
them?
that.
Do you tickle them?
They wouldn't
What
like
is
that.
They just
What do you do
look
with-
pretty like Niki. They're kind of like Niki.
Okay. So they're more than, do you get to pet them and is it petting them and stuff?
See, this is all
They're
about
therapy animals, right?
inequality, I say, because they get the bad rap because horses, everybody knows, are just very sensitive, very they a lot of energy, but the donkeys are the same way. And so with the mini donkeys, it's kind of people get intimidated with horses. And so sometimes they'll start with the mini donkeys,
Gotcha.
and then kind of graduate to the horses, or it's always the teens just love them because it's different. And we are in an equine community here, and so people are more used to the horses too, and so they
what
want
does that
to
mean?
the mini donkeys.
When you say equine, what does that mean?
So equine can be horses or donkeys. Mini donkeys included, yeah.
Cute. Well, I didn't know if you
So
were
Kelly,
riding them.
please do not ride the donkeys.
No.
But
Okay.
they will just walk up to you.
Oh,
They
they're
will start
adorable.
calling you. Like I'll have a session and they'll just walk over to the gate because they want some attention.
Yeah,
And so it's bring
Aw.
people over to them. You pet them. They love to be loved,
yeah.
and they share love.
Yeah, they do.
They love to share the love that they're carrying.
That's cute. So if somebody was interested in tapping into your service, say they're in Arizona, let's say they're even not in Arizona, but they want to come and see what you guys are all about, how do they find you?
So our website is freespiritcoaching.org. They can also, and that has all of our events information. It has a description and pictures of all of us and a description of what we do in our background. It has a lot of pictures of the property so they can see, what we have here and what we're doing. And
a way to book.
Yeah, and we book, of course, online. And then, of course, they can email or text. Email is freespiritcoaching@aol.com. Yes, AOL. About it.
What?
I always get laughter after that, but
That's so
and then,
funny.
And then they can, of course, call us 480-220-0020.
Cool. So now that we have dubbed you guys the Psychic Avengers and we know why you guys are the Psychic Avengers, I have one question for you. Okay, each of you guys can answer. It's just going to be a question, just random. I just got to know. Okay, Niki, Star Wars or Star Trek?
I'm gonna say neither.
Wow. Okay, she's out. Okay, we're moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
We're moving on. Okay, Traci.
How about I'll take Batman and Wonder Woman? How about that?
Batman or Wonder Woman? She's out too. But you're good on the Batman. Pasquale, Star Trek, Star Wars.
I'm gonna say Star Wars.
Okay.
Nerd.
James. Oh,
There you go.
There you go. She's
You're
got it.
back in, Niki.
Oh, the Vulcan.
you're back in,
Yeah,
Niki.
Niki's back in.
I'm back in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you're back
Traci,
in.
you get a gold star because Batman is very near and dear.
I
Yeah.
love
So
Batman.
Batman's good.
that's my dude.
Funny.
Thank you guys so much for recording with us today. It was a pleasure. We learned a whole lot.
Yeah.
I'm actually, I want to come to Sedona, and I'm going to actually try to come to one of you guys' retreats because it sounds cool.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
So rad.
Probably not the one in May, but I'm sure you guys got it coming up.
Broadcast from Sedona.
Ooh.
That's a good road trip.
That's a road trip. So, you know what? I bet you, and I'm going to put it out there because me and James have been practicing manifesting. So we're going to manifest a podcast in Sedona live with you guys.
Ooh, I just got
Love that. Love it.
Before the summer's over. And guess what? I just got chills too. Isn't that crazy?
I call it my bat signal. Chills is my bat signal, meaning we're on the right track.
With the best, we're coming.
We're on the right track. We're on the right track. We will definitely be in touch. You guys, thank you again so much for recording with us.
Thanks.
It's been a pleasure.
Lots of fun, you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are Sedona bound, my friend.
And you know what's crazy, Cal? Remember when we were talking about going somewhere, and I was like, "Well, let's go to Extraterrestrial Highway," and we were talking all about that, and then it looked really.
And I was like, "Let's go to Devil's Tower."
Yeah. You were like, "Let's go to Devil's Tower," and like we wanted to go somewhere. We didn't know where we wanted to go. Where are we going?
Sedona.
And think about it. What is Sedona?
It's like the energy,
Right?
like
There's
capital, like of the Mecca of energy or whatever. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
It's so funny because when she said Sedona, my ears just perked up. I was like, God, I always hear about Sedona, and I never think about it. So that's they say there are no coinkydinks.
And then, wasn't there a part where we all had cold chills at the same time?
Yeah. So we must be on the right path.
I think that's cool. That's the universe telling us, man. You know, it's funny, Kev, because you know I've always believed this stuff. But as we've gone down this road further, and I keep seeing more and more, confirmation, it's like now I'm even, I don't want to say more of a believer, but it just seems more natural, or I'm seeing it more. I
You're
see it
in
more.
tune. You're tuned in.
Yeah.
You're tuned in
into it, and all this stuff is happening. It's kind of wild. It's
cool.
cool.
The way that I see it is that the universe itself, just the world that we live in, right? Is just there's all this stuff, all this crazy shit that happens, but I just don't believe in coincidences. So
no,
all the things that have happened since we started our little podcast, the things that we've wanted to happen have happened.
It's serious.
I'm big on manifesting.
And you are.
That's my thing. Manifesting is my jam. Let's manifest.
Yep. And since, I've been going with you just further down this path, I've started to do it too. And now it's like, it's crazy because we talk about something. Oh, let's get this type of guest. Wow, what happens? Someone reaches out to us. Well, let's talk about this topic, Kel. And what do you know? Before we know it, we're talking about that with someone. Hey, Kelly, let's go somewhere. Wouldn't it be cool if we could go somewhere and, where this stuff happens? Where are we going?
What's even more cool is when I said to you, hey, we should really think about a website. And then what happens? We meet somebody who offers to do our website just out of the blue.
Yeah, James came out and he was so cool about it.
Yeah, it was so unexpected.
Yeah.
Right? It was like, oh, yeah, what? So just, it's been really cool to be able to see our little podcast grow, our listenership grow. I think this season 3 is like our breakout season because we've learned, we've gotten better, we've evolved.
Yeah, I think we're doing good. We are evolving. I'm trying to become a better interviewer.
And it's, and I think because we're unscripted, and we're just who we are. I'm not trying to be anybody else, just trying to be us. And these are just the conversations that we have. And it's just, and remember when we started the podcast, for those of you that don't know, when we started it, James, you had said, we decided our name was going to be That's Some Crazy Shit. And it fits. It just fits. But remember, somebody had told you, well, you're going to have a hard time getting guests with that name. And guess what? It's been the opposite. Everybody that we've talked to loves the name. Because if you've never said That's Some Crazy Shit, then you've never had any crazy shit go down. And it doesn't have to be paranormal.
Yeah. I mean, when we talk about stuff, we've talked about medicine, and just the surgeries I've had on my knees.
Acupuncture.
Yeah, acupuncture. And that's some
comic
crazy
books.
Shit. Yeah.
I mean, just, everyday life sometimes can just be crazy shit. So we've got...
lives... Oh, sorry, go.
No, go ahead.
Some of these, the lives that these people live and lead, it's crazy. It really is. I can't picture myself in some of the situations, we have a guest coming up who was in the military, and he saw some crazy stuff, and I can't imagine being in his shoes seeing that stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, and we have another guest that wrote a book about the crazy shit that's happened in his life.
Yeah.
And he's going to come on and share his stories. But then we also have guests who are psychic mediums and guests who, are see spirits and, other things. And so, because when That's Some Crazy Shit to me is a broad umbrella. It can be, anything can almost be deemed crazy shit. Having this podcast to me, is that, that's some crazy shit.
It's like, because I think about it too, because, I mean, did you imagine, or could you have imagined when we were little kids, first of all, that we would know each other this long, and that we would be to a point where we're doing a podcast about just the stuff we talk about?
I knew that we would always know one another because through the years we've always stayed in touch. So you know what I mean? Yeah. Not knowing you was never a thing. I don't know. We just always got along. And it's crazy. It's when you think about it, I don't know. Somebody once told me that men and women cannot have a platonic friendship. And I disagree because, you are like one of my best friends. I've known you all my life. You're like my brother from another mother. And that's hard for some people to understand. Since kindergarten, no shit. That in itself is some crazy shit. There's not a lot of people out there who can say, I still talk to the person that I went to kindergarten with.
Yeah.
That's a long time of watching our lives. We've basically watched our lives, and we haven't been like always around one another, but we've always spoken. We've always stayed in touch.
It's kind of like the Truman Show. We're like each other's Truman Show.
Yeah, because you've just kind of watch our lives unfold. Sure. And I think we've been there for events in our lives, as far as like kids and just the things that we've done. When you think about the memories.
Yeah,
that's some crazy shit.
That is crazy shit, Kel. I'm glad I've known you all this time.
Yeah, me too. And I'm glad that we have the podcast, and we are glad that the listeners have tuned in to listen. Today we spoke with the Psychic Avengers. They were totally cool. We are Sedona bound. They are located in Cave Creek, Arizona. All their information will be in the podcast description so that you can reach out to them. What they do is cool. Their facility sounds fantastic. I am excited. So next week, James, we have yet another guest. So excited. We got all these guests lined up.
I know.
So cool. We have got guests lined up for pretty much the entire season 3. So
the whole
we've got
season.
Some great topics coming up. So I hope you guys tune in. Tell your friends. That's some crazy shit. You can go to our website. James, what's the website?
That's some crazy shit podcast.com.
All of our social media links are there. You can listen to all of the episodes there. And then you can also go to our, we should really start pushing our YouTube channel.
That's true if we're going to go video.
We should really start thinking about pushing YouTube. Yeah, if you listen to us, take just a tiny, tiny bit of time and go subscribe to our YouTube channel and help us grow the YouTube, because we are thinking about going to video. I guess that's the next step in podcast
in our
evolution. Yes.
Jinx.
Oh, Jinx, you owe me a Coke. But can you make it a gin and tonic?
Can you leave out the Coke and add gin and tonic?
Yep, just don't worry about the Coke, just gin and tonic. Okay, James, until next week, it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Until next time.
Keep your minds open, people.